Okay, team. So I'm going to talk more about these fundamental things. I'm going to show you a little bit of stat mech, which will be fun. Some more toy model things, magnets and percolation. These are good things to just touch on if you've never seen them before. Physicists are usually quite used to them, but they will also, so they give us the good things to play around with, and then we'll get to some more stuff later on with contagion, how things spread, right? So it's going to be deeply connected to how things spread, especially on networks. So you'll see how that comes about. Spreading is a big, big deal. We're worried about it all the time, quite reasonably. So we'll get to that. I just have this here. I don't know if anyone, I just brought it up, but if anyone, I'll just mention this. It's something I talked to, who was it, in office hours. Anyway, so this is a tricky thing that happens in assignment 5. You're going to get to this point from the optimization, right, from the Lagrange multipliers. You get to this thing. You have to take some care to get there, but once you're at that point, then you have to do some shenanigans basically to get to introduce, is it written down, our constraint, which is, right, so we have to somehow inject this constraint. This is usually how these things go, which is that the sum of the pi equals 1, right? So you want to deploy that at some point, and we'll use it in a couple of ways as you go through this. But so the sneaky thing is you step back from this and look at it for a while, right? So we've got this mass. It looks good. There's a power law decay here. There's some exponent. We're not really worried exactly what h and g and c are. We just need to know what that number is. And then we've got this prefactor out the front. So so this is definitely, some monks died to do this, right? So there's just some sneakiness. You could battle around for a while. You look at these two expressions that we've had for h and c for the information and for the cost. They're pretty similar looking in basic shape. Of course, this is the difference here. And now you have a connection between pi is proportional to some power of j plus a. Right, and j is just an integer. So this is something we can mess around with. If we take the expression we have for pj and just replace it here, right? So we're just going to replace it here. We're going to get something that looks like this. So we're going to sort of transmute h into c. That's what this is saying here. We're going to fashion h into c and then kind of clean it up. Right? So it's a little bit funny. You just sort of have to grit your teeth. You're going to replace that piece of I with all of this blob, but not this one, right? Because you're just trying to change it into something that looks partly like this. And as you go through, you'll see that some things have to balance out and be 0. And in fact, what you'll see is that this expression here is equal to 0. So this is really e to the 0, which is a 1. So then you're left with so that all just disappears in a sense, and then we end up with this, and then you again use your normalization that the sum of the probabilities has to be 1. Okay. Just going to put that there. We have office hours. Of course, after this we can talk more. Right. So